Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Sandra. Appreciate it.
Anytime.
I'm saying.
Yes. No, it doesn't affect anybody else.
It's very difficult. Yeah. But I've been inside this house.
Yeah. Who lives next door? We share the driveway. She's a singer. She sings in the
All right, but she was also.
Tracy Allen. Tracy Allen. That's who she lives at. She's was the still is. We won on the back roads by spring trip. She transported. They went to. Yeah, I got to know her a little bit.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the February City Council meeting. Councilman Soroka will be here shortly, but we'll get started because we have some housekeeping we can do while we await his arrival. So if we could please rise and pledge your allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Derek.
Councilmember Wood.
Yes, here.
Pro Tem Conrad Wilbur.
Here.
Councilmember Ritchie.
Here.
Mayor Darrell.
Here.
Councilmember Donovan.
Here.
Councilmember Soroka. Councilmember Blue.
Here. Since we know Neil's coming, Bill, I don't need a motion, right? Just for his, yeah, there you go. Yep. All right, item 3, reading and consideration of the minutes of the regular meeting held Monday, January 13, 2025. I understand there are some corrections.
Mr. Mayor, you were here and then you were not here. So I don't know what happened. No, Derek, just at the last page, you just have to correct that. That Mayor opened a public comment at 7:07 p.m. With that change, I don't see, I would move approval.
That's 7-minute meeting? 8-minute meeting, wow. Well, the public comment, the meeting was 7 because we have public comments.
Well, that's why I wanted.
Woo, fantastic. All right, any other corrections?
Yes, and Mr. Mayor, under number 3, after vote. Motion by Mayor Pro Tem, but it says second by Mayor Pro Tem.
Oh, yes, please, yeah.
To temporarily adjourn the city council. I don't think this is applicable to this, these minutes.
Let's see here.
Adjourn the city council and reconvene at the Board of Zoning
You
Appeals.
can take that out.
Right. Take that out.
All right, good catches. Any other corrections? All
Thank you for that.
right, with those corrections, any other comments? All right, the minutes will be approved as corrected. Item, Derek, can we show the record that Councilman Soroka is now in the meeting? Item 4, I will entertain a motion to adjourn as the city council and to convene as a Board of Zoning Appeals.
So moved.
Support. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Item 4, Board of Zoning Appeals is now convened. A public hearing for a variance request for 139 Ridge Road. Mr. Reestein, I understand that that's been withdrawn from tonight's agenda.
That's correct. The applicant has requested additional time to revise elevations for proposed structure, and that will be before council in the near future. So if that will be renoticed in the event that once it's scheduled.
Okay, so we should just then have a motion to take it off the agenda without set date, correct? So that we have to send out new notice.
Yeah, I wouldn't set a date because I think
Yeah.
it's gonna be substantively revised, and just,
Right.
we have to head around this if it comes back. in addition to all the variances that it would otherwise need, would also need a lot split.
Okay. Yeah.
I would just withdraw it from the agenda.
Right, so we don't need a motion, we don't, all right, good, so withdraw from the agenda, have to be renoticed, as a new item, sometime in the future. All right, item 4B, public hearing for a variance request for 134 Meadow Lane. Can the applicant please approach the podium, give name and, your name and address, and tell us about your request?
Sure. My name is Charles Letson. Excuse me, I live at 134 Meadow Lane. My wife and I have 2 young girls, 7 and 4, and we're just running out of some space, so we're looking to add an extra bedroom and expand their bathroom. As you can guess, 2 girls are probably gonna need a little bigger bathroom. What we're proposing is to go over basically on top of our existing exterior patio that has a pergola. And off to the side of the picture, you can't see it, there's a small bump out that's already in existence that will go on top of there, so. My understanding is where the existing patio goes is about 17 feet from the rear lot line. And our existing garage is about 23 feet, I think, right now, so we're requesting variance to go there.
All right, Derek, can you put the drawings up? So I'll be honest with you, I was talking earlier with a couple council members here. I've been doing this a long time, and I'm really having a hard time deciphering this one.
Sure.
To be honest with you. All right, so tell us about exactly what you're
Okay.
doing here.
So in the red box there, the part with the slashes through it,
Yep,
that's existing, and it's 1 story.
okay,
So we'd like to go on top of that, and then I guess the top part of that red box is an existing patio that has a pergola covering it. And so we'd like to go over that as well. It's a rectangle that'll, part of it will be over existing structure, and part of it will be over a new covered porch patio.
so it's between the garage building.
Correct.
and The main house,
Correct.
you have, it looks like a small living room in front of it, so you're building on top of that.
On top of that, and then that.
And first floor and second floor towards the pergola.
Correct. It'd
Where
be like
that
above,
arrow is.
it'd be like above, we would take the pergola out.
Right, and you'd have a first and second floor there.
Yes, the first floor would essentially be an outdoor covered porch.
Oh.
It wouldn't be interior space, just the second story would.
So second story over the existing living room.
Yeah, and second story over
The
the
pergola space.
existing patio,
Okay,
yeah, so they have to dig it up.
all right. Can you tell us about,
Yeah, and it's a funny shaped lot, as you can see, so like we don't have a lot of, we're at the end of the cul-de-sac, so it's kind of a pie shape, and we feel like that was the least expensive or, whatever to neighbors or anything else.
okay, questions? Joe?
You mentioned the bathroom, you're gonna put a bathroom.
Where is the bathroom?
No, you're gonna put a bathroom upstairs.
So there is an existing bathroom already, and it's
Okay.
like a hall closet, it's like an old hall closet, basically.
Okay,
And so, as you can see, I don't know if you can scroll a little bit to kind of help paint the picture. So if you look at the main house, it's kind of like an, oh, not that far, sorry. Right there, perfect. So it's kind of like an L with that curve, the turret in the front, that's the main house.
right,
So to get to this new proposed addition, we would have to go through an existing bedroom.
okay,
And so that bedroom has this very small bathroom that is next to it. And so the idea is because we're basically turning that existing bedroom into a hallway, right? We would steal some of that space to make the bathroom a little bigger.
but would the bathroom be over the existing house?
It'd be in the existing house, correct?
Because of, if you have
Correct.
open air underneath.
Correct.
Plumbing, freeze,
Correct.
whatever.
It would not be in the proposed new area.
And I assume that the practical hardship difficulty is because the lot is it's
It's an odd
pie shaped.
shape.
It's very difficult
Yes,
to maneuver at that.
correct.
Thank you.
Left, you guys have questions.
Yeah, thank you very much for the explanation. I get your practical difficulty. You have an oddly shaped lot. You don't have any other areas. You've explained in your application and just now that you don't have any other areas where you could actually expand. This is going to go on top of your current space, and you're not going to be adding any additional encroachment. Matt, is this, are we being asked for a variance because this is non-conforming? Is that basically the issue, or what is it that,
They're decreasing their rear setback by approximately 6 feet.
but they've already got,
So in 2001, the record said that in 2001, they got a variance to build the garage and attach it to the house. So they got a variance for that 23.6 because 30 feet is required. So now they're asking to go 6 feet closer. So they're increasing their non-conformity.
except that he's explained that there is a patio underneath where we're talking
But
about.
the second floor will go that far.
The
So
second.
You count the second floor.
Okay, so, okay, all right, that's just fine.
But not on the ground.
It's not, I mean, yeah, it's not touching the ground, but it's still
Okay.
whatever the closest point of the building to the rear, that's where you measure
Right,
from.
okay, it's up in the air. So, Matt, I also, I noted that the gentleman is counting on a survey, topo survey apparently from 2001. Are you okay relying on a survey, that 24-year-old survey?
Yeah, I mean, they're certified land surveys, I mean, really, we wouldn't expect that anything's changed since then.
Well, that's my question. What if something has been changed? It's not on these plans and we are looking at these plans. These are the plans we're looking at. This is what we need to look at to make the decision. When you went to the site, are you comfortable that the survey is showing us the current existing conditions?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we looked through and made sure there have been no other alterations to the
All right.
building since.
I mean, I think it's unusual. I don't know that we've ever seen that we're relying on a survey, a 24-year-old survey. It's very unusual. Typically, you have a survey done last year or something like that, you know. Okay, I have no other questions, Lily.
Anybody else on the zoning board? John?
Thank you, Mr. Letson. I walk by your residence a lot. It's always well maintained. Thank you very, very much. Who's your builder for the proposed project, please, sir?
Tim Ricky right over here.
Thank you, sir. I'm in favor of your proposal. I wish you well. Thank you, sir.
Other questions? Quick question, you say brick veneer matching existing, even though it's a brick veneer?
That's the goal, yeah, so, we're gonna steal, so. The small bump out TV room has, it was an add-on at some point, so there's exterior brick there, we're gonna try and steal as much as we can. To put on the front and around the addition and match wherever we can. But yes, that's our intent.
All right,
I have one other question. Derek, are we familiar with, are we aware of any letters from the neighbors, positive or negative? We don't have anything in our packet.
I did not receive.
Nothing. Okay.
I know that our immediate neighbor, we actually share a driveway with her, it'd be like on the left of that picture. She is in favor of it, and if we need a signature or something, she says.
Is that Tracy Allen?
Yes.
Who lives there? Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
No.
all right, any other questions from the zoning board? All right, any questions from the public on this item? See nobody in the public, public comment is closed. What is the pleasure of the zoning board?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to make a motion, please.
You may do so, thank you.
Hi, Mr. Letson. So this motion is for a variance request for 134 Meadow Lane residential property, R1 district, for a Charles Letson property owner. I make this motion to grant Mr. Letson a dimensional variance of 12.75 feet to allow the construction of a 2-story addition to the rear of the house, extending into the required rear yard setback of 30 feet. The proposed addition, which consists of a 2nd story over the existing 1st floor patio, would result in a rear yard setback of 17.25 feet, less than the 30-foot requirement. The property was previously granted a variance in 2001, which permitted a reduced rear setback of 23.7 feet. In making this decision, the Board of Zoning Appeals has reviewed the following: a memo from Matthew Vaca dated 2/10/25, McKenna's report dated 1/24/25, the zoning board of appeals application submitted by Mr. Letson on 12/4/2024, and site plans. The variance is supported based on these findings. The difficulty is not self-created, but stems from the lot's unique shape, significantly limiting expansion options. Because of the lot's configuration, no feasible alternatives exist for expanding the house besides the rear yard. Strict adherence to the zoning ordinance would impose an undue hardship by blocking a logical and proportional expansion that aligns with the property's existing structure and surrounding neighborhood. Therefore, the practical difficulty cannot be mitigated or resolved without granting the requested variance. Granting this variance ensures substantial justice for the homeowner. It allows the construction of a functional and reasonable addition that is consistent with other properties within the zoning district and will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood. The variance aligns with the spirit and intent of the zoning ordinance, ensuring orderly development while recognizing unique property constraints. The proposed addition is in harmony with the surrounding residential character and the overall zoning objectives. The proposed variance will not increase population density, negatively impact adjacent property owners, interfere with their rights and enjoyment, or require additional governmental resources or services. Conclusion. Conditions. The addition shall be constructed as documented in the submitted plans attached to the application. No further encroachment beyond the approved setback shall be permitted. And last, any further expansions or modifications will require separate zoning review and approval.
Got it. Valid motion. Is there support? All right, Mr. Kazicki?
Councilmember Wood. Yes. Mayor Pro Tem Conrad Wilbur.
Yes.
Councilmember Ritchie.
Yes.
Mayor Darrow.
Yes.
Councilmember Donovan.
Yes.
Councilmember Soroka.
Here.
Councilmember Wood.
Yes.
That was a agenda item. Yes, that was my best. Here and yes. All right, we got 'em both.
I go in order, right? Like I should.
All right, motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good luck with the congratulations. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn as the zoning board of appeals and to reconvene as the city council.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 5, consideration of an interlocal agreement for senior services and appointment of a representative to the Active Adult Commission. Mr. Reside.
This, in your packet is a proposed interlocal agreement for the creation of a senior commission or an active adult commission that would serve the 4 Grosse Pointe communities in Harper Woods that approved the recent village approval in November for those services. The concept here is really to create a mechanism for the communities to receive those funds and then contract for those services. And the agreement contemplates contracting those services to the home for the Grosse Pointes and Harper Woods communities. As part of that, we're recommending that the proposed interlocal agreement be approved. This agreement was drafted by Chuck Kennedy, city attorney in Grosse Pointe City, but had input from the legal counsel of the impacted Grosse Pointes and Harper Woods. It's also recommended as part of this agreement that the commission consist of a representative from each of the 5 impacted communities. And so at this time, we're requesting in addition to the approval of the agreement, the appointment of Grosse Pointe Farms representative on the commission.
Questions?
Shane, could you just go over the Schedule A, which is the last page on the packet? I'm not quite sure I understand what those numbers mean. I suspect that it's written in here someplace, but so maybe you could just explain it.
On each of on the ballot proposal, for each of the communities that had it on the ballot, there was a number of what the anticipated revenue that would be generated by that community for senior services. So although the millage rate is the same for each of the communities that approved the millage, there's a different taxable values for those communities. Hence, Grosse Pointe Farms having the highest taxable value of the Grosse Pointes would be contributing the largest dollar amount.
Good, thank you very much for that explanation.
So let me ask you, let me ask a question, I'm sorry. So first of all, we should tell Chuck to put page numbers on his agreements. It's a little jab, he's a friend. Yeah. Same law school. Article 4B. Subject to the approval of the governing bodies of each of the parties here too, the commission may purchase, lease, construct, and this talks about buying land, buildings, etc. So with the governing bodies being the 5 signatories, is it, again, this is just one clarification on this, we're donating the most amount, not donating, we're collecting the most money from the farms, it's going to this group. If the commission that sits, if the town wants to buy land or a building, is this paragraph saying that all of the signatories must vote yes for any purchase to take place? It does not say whether it's a majority or, because when I read it, it could be seen either way, subject to the approval of the governing bodies, of the parties is identified as all the cities. And when I read this, it sounds like everybody has to say yes.
That's my interpretation.
Okay,
Approval by each. That
Right.
requires unanimity in that paragraph.
okay, just wanted to check.
So it's not a majority.
Is that correct?
That's the intent, yes.
All right, sorry, Beth, I know I talked at the same time, go ahead.
Go ahead. Do you have another question?
No, I don't.
I think it's important to put the tenets of the agreement too, Shane, it's on that page 1 of it. I'll just read it. That each participating community will have 1 representative of the commission that we know. The commission will meet at least 4 times a year with all meetings conducted in compliance with the Michigan Open Meetings Act, which I think is important. The commission will oversee the contractor providing senior services. The commission will provide an annual report to the respective member communities. Now, I'm wondering, since the meetings are open to the Open Meetings Act, do we have the minutes of that, each meeting published, and where can that be found?
Yeah, we will make those available, and I don't think there's would be any difficulty just making them available on our website as we do with other committee meetings.
Okay.
Yes, John, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also noted that the registered office of the commission is the city of Grosse Pointe Farms. And whom are you recommending is the designee for appointment to the commission on behalf of our good city, please?
Well, that will be a council decision on who they would like to appoint. I think a recommendation of at least the city managers would be met would be to have an elected representative from each of the communities. I know Grosse Pointe Park and Grosse Pointe Woods appointed members, approved the agreement and appointed council members last week, and Grosse Pointe City has it on their agenda and us tonight. But I think we have a council member who will be wanting to make a motion and recommending an appointment.
she's volunteering somebody, it
Yes.
sounds like.
May I proceed, Mr. Mayor?
Well, let's get the questions on the
Oh,
agreement first. Yes.
I just was curious about the decision to have 3-year terms, what the theory was behind that, it's just an unusual. It's an unusual, like, given that people are elected generally in 2-year cycles, the 3 years make a lot of sense to me.
I can give you,
The theory.
I can give you the theory, I don't know that you're gonna find it logical.
Okay, fair
That's
enough.
very comforting, thank you.
That's always good.
I believe that when Chuck was drafting this, it was a vestige of the fact that originally we contemplated that there may have been 7 members on the commission itself. Didn't know that one or more of the communities would not approve the millage. An early draft of the document included a representative from the 6 communities that were predicted to approve it, plus one at large that would rotate among the communities. And so the 3-year term was an effort to stagger, and have some continuity on the commission. The facts have changed a little bit, but I will say I'm not troubled by the 3-year term. It just would be subject to reappointment.
Yeah.
on a periodic basis.
Another advantage for potentially the 3-year term is the village was approved as a 6-year village, so you're really splitting up, you would contemplate two 3-year terms, so 2 different bodies, and I guess it could be reviewed again at the expiration of the 6 years.
So I don't know, Beth, if we can just plop those tenants in without going back to the other cities. They already approved this? Shane, did they already approve this?
Yes, it's been approved, but I think that's, but again, that's really part of the.
It's already in works.
It's built into the agreement, and the fact that it is a commission body, but we would be required to follow the Open Meetings Act.
Well, I would hope that they would follow all the tenants that are listed.
Oh, yes, yeah, those are outlined within the agreement.
Okay, thank you.
Those tenants.
Any other questions from council? Questions on the agreement from the public? Please approach the podium and name and address, please.
Catherine Sauer, 234 Progresso. I also would hope that the basic tenets are specified in the agreement. I looked through the whole agreement and I don't really see some of those specifications. And in terms of the annual report, what I would like to also see included in that is a access to the certified yearly audit. Because it's very nice to see a budget, but that doesn't tell us what has actually happened. And it needs to be the true audit. And I would include that not only the numbers, and I would like to also have the management letter included in the audit, not just the nice boilerplate first page niceties.
Is there a provision for?
There is section 5 for the annual report.
For an audit?
Not the audit, I'm going to the tenants because that was the first one. Well, I think once we have a representative, I think the first motion would be to schedule. We could do that as send whoever representative is to that meeting and make sure they put it on into their minutes that they have it done professionally.
I don't see
Okay.
it. I don't see an audit.
No, the audit's not in it. I'm saying that's gonna be one of the orders of business at the first meeting.
Oh.
We would send our representative and hearken forth to the assembled masses and ask for such audit.
Good.
All right,
Yeah, I'm all for that.
okay. All right, any other questions from the public on the agreement itself? All right, public comment is closed. What is the pleasure of city council?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to make a motion,
You
please.
may do that.
To approve the interlocal agreement for the joint senior services. And I make my recommendation at this time too, sir?
Yes.
Okay.
No, this is just an agreement right now.
Okay.
Are you
I'm
moving,
done.
moving for the approval of the agreement?
Yes.
Yes, okay, is there support? Support. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Councilwoman
Donovan,
yes.
I recommend the appointment of Mayor Pro Tem, a City Councilwoman Beth Conrad. Her tenure on City Council has equipped her with the expertise necessary to oversee public funds with transparency and accountability, ensuring that taxpayer dollars are allocated effectively and responsibly to support our senior community. I am confident that her expertise and dedication will uphold the highest standards of fiduciary management.
Do you accept said nomination?
For 3 years, yeah. Let me ask a question by my.
You may.
Chair, or maybe to our city manager, because it's, I don't think it's spelled out here. Assuming that something not dastardly happens to me, I'm quite confident I can serve this 3 years. However, if I am not reelected in this election, what is the process for the council in doing that? Am I still duty bound to this assignment? I know that's.
You can resign at any time that you would want for whatever reason. I will say that although Shane properly mentioned that the general expectation of the city managers is that each community will appoint a representative from its council. It's not a legal requirement, not a requirement under law, not a requirement under the document. So it would be subject to the pleasure of the remaining members of the council, if you were not to be reelected to city council, whether they would want you to continue to serve or not, but it would not be precluded.
Fine, fine. I just wanted to get a clarification so that I know exactly what I'm.
We could make it a condition of the assignment that as long as she so serves
Could,
as a council person, she will sit as our representative.
you're writing on a clean slate on that issue.
Would you be comfortable with that?
Yes, I would be comfortable with that.
Would you be comfortable as a friendly amendment to your proposal?
Yes, sir. Do I need to write that in there?
No, you're good. Any other nominations for this position from the council?
Move that nominations be closed.
Yeah, quickly, right?
Yeah,
Nobody else gets on it,
I'm gonna say you, Jack. All in favor of closing nominations, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Do I hear a second on the motion to appoint Mayor Pro Tem as our sitting member on this commission during the time she is an active council person?
Sure. Yes, I'll make support. No.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
I will tell you, this is an issue that I follow very closely because it's a first for all of our communities to have something like this that is going to be supported with taxpayers. Plus, there is some other funding with it. So I plan to be very, not necessarily just judicious, but I plan to be diligent as far as watching over the funds with this, the process, and the way and how we navigate this new endeavor to help our senior citizens. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Look forward to your report after the first meeting. In triplicate.
Full power.
Yes. But yes, watch how our money is, please protect our citizens' money and take care of our elderly. All right, item number 6, yes. Consideration request from the Parks and Recreation Department to purchase recreation management software. Sounds exciting, Chris. Please tell us.
Very exciting. Thank you, good evening, Mayor, Council. Here tonight to get your approval. This has been a longer process than our department had anticipated. Some quick background, our current recreation software, which we've been with since 2003, informed us last spring that they have sold their company and they were getting out of the business of recreation software management. At that point in time, we kind of started scrambling and tried to figure out what we were going to do. This also kind of met us at a kind of a good time. We've since being here, we have heard quite a bit of rumblings in terms of the software itself not being very user friendly. Other residents complaining with husband can have a login, wife can't have a login. So this was a good opportunity for us to go out there and research what other companies could provide us. So we began doing that in June of 2024, researching, interviewing, and having demonstrations from various companies. So we actually started with one company and then we branched off to a total of 3, which is also in your packet. The company that, after quite a bit of conversation with the staff, researching the facility, researching the software, we came up with a recommendation to go with Vermont Systems, which is known as RecTrack for the recreation part of their software. And in your packet, there was reasonings why. Main ones that stood out to us was one-click port reservations. Their payment processing is actually all done within their company. We currently have to go to a separate provider for the processing of credit cards. The multi-household login is an option. The reporting capabilities was just amazing. How many different reports can be tailored, how many reports we can create if we need to for whatever reason. They also provide us with a mobile app. So the mobile app is a function that we and residents can download from either Apple Store or Google Play. That would give residents the ability to register for classes, reserve courts. If we want to do it, it has the ability to have their park passes on there mobilely. So electronically, your park pass would be right on that app that you can scan at the gate. The other good one is it's compatible with BSNA. So any of the financial records can get pulled right out of the software, and Tim and his staff would have complete access to it to be able to do any type of reports that need to happen. So some nice things about it as well. Currently, we're at about a 3% credit card processing fee, as well as 25 cents per transaction that we're charged with Forte. RecTrack has provided us a 2.25% credit card processing fee and 20 cents per transaction, which going through it is probably about a $4,000 cost savings for us yearly if it's the same amount of credit card transactions that we currently see. The other part about it, obviously new software gives us the opportunity for our staff to have more efficiency, taking consideration of both payments. Invoices can be mailed out just with a click of a button to everybody that's in the Boatwell software. So their invoices, contracts can all be done there. They can go online and pay them. We can still mail them out if a resident requests it, but the productivity and efficiency that our staff will gain from this will be insurmountable for us. So yeah, other than that, I'm free to answer any questions that you guys might have. In your packet, there was a list of communities that use this software. Quite a few of them are very big municipalities that talking to them, they love it. We feel like we will too, but definitely see a great advantage for our residents to be able to use the software easily, efficiently, and hoping we won't have any phone calls on how to register for classes or reserving those courts that are a huge priority for residents. So, but free to answer any questions you guys might have on the software.
Mr. Galuli. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm happy to serve as chair, of course, of Parks and Harbor. And our fine Mayor Pro Tem, Conrad Wilberding, and Councilmember Soroka vetted this at length during our meeting this past week. And we're very happy with the due diligence performed by our Park and Rec Director. We asked a lot of tough questions, quite frankly, of him, and I believe that the committee as a whole unanimously felt that the proposal recommended by Mr. Galitis would serve our city well.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I'll just lift up from that discussion. I agree. It was a very robust discussion. I appreciate all the research that went into this. I think it gave us a lot of information to help make the decision on this. one thing we did talk about in the committee was the fact that this is not coming this year. There's a lead in, so don't expect that if we vote on one of these software packages, that all the features that are listed under it are gonna be implemented this year. This would be implemented when?
So the hope is, because we need this to be up and running by September. Not every single feature might be up and running in September, but when RecPro ceases operations, we need to be ready to go to take reservations, court reservations, registrations for programs. Something similar to like the mobile app, that could be done at a future time frame whenever we feel comfortable doing it. But we definitely need to have our training, the software implemented and done, so we're ready to go for at least getting our reservations and everything like that for buildings by September of 2025.
Yeah, so we're gonna be using what we have right now through the opening part of the summer.
Yes.
It'll slowly get onboarded in, but the idea is don't expect us to change come, Memorial Day weekend.
Correct, yeah, we'll still be on RecPro until we envision late August, early September, once we have our staff fully trained and ready to go on it. Yes, thank you for clarifying that.
Awesome. Any other questions? Joe and then Lev?
Chris, again, help me, because I wasn't involved in any negotiations. but
Sure.
A annual uplift charge is every year it's gonna go up 3%.
That's correct. Every one of the providers that we researched and we talked to had a 3 to 5% annual increase regardless of which one we went with. RecTrack actually agreed upon, after we went through the contract, to make it at 3% with no changes for those first 3 years.
What was that?
So they won't, for the first 3 years that we enter into the contract with them, it'll be at 3% for each year that it will go up. And that would have been the same for any of the companies we would have gone with, potentially up to 5%, depending on which company we went with.
Fixed at three.
Yeah, and then, but this is the only 3-year contract. The other ones are 1 year.
They were annual, correct.
And you don't think that there should be some wiggle room at that point? I'm just asking.
Yep, so that's a great question. We actually, and our attorney actually looked at that and made a recommendation on that. We can get out after the 12 months. So if it doesn't go well and we decide that, it's not for us, we got sold a bill of goods or anything, we have 12 months that we can get out of it. I don't envision that happening. It's gonna take us about 12 months to figure out the software and to see all the capabilities of it.
Right.
But it's a 3-year contract with, we can get out after 12 months.
Did the training fees, you were happy with the training fees as far as what you're gonna be using?
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. Quite frankly, some of the other training fees were more. As a matter of fact, and the vendor indicated they would get right on training, provide ample training as necessary. And there will be all kinds of applications that we're not going to use initially that will be available to us going forward, but on a snail's pace.
Yeah.
So to speak, such as photos attached to them, whether or not we want all park passes to be printed, whether we want them all on digital devices, things of that nature and more.
One thing, and I think this is to answer.
Neil?
Councilman Burch.
There you go, Neil. Go
Sorry,
ahead.
I was just trying to respond to Councilman Burch's question. The 65 hours that we get at 125 an hour.
Yes.
That's included in the initial startup cost, correct?
That is correct.
And if for some reason we didn't use that 65 hours, we would get, 125x of whatever is remaining. The likelihood is we're probably gonna use it, but that was another interesting point.
It's 8-hour sessions.
Yeah.
Yes. So anything that we don't use out of that 65 hours for training, we would not get billed for.
Okay,
Question, John?
one more. Again, there's a big difference between RecDisc and RecTrack.
Yes.
I mean, it's significant, so I, again, assume powers to be feel real comfortable what we're paying extra for. And I trust your judgment, so you don't feel that way?
I do. It was a very lengthy process. to
Okay.
go Through this, and I'll tell you, that's why we welcome as many questions, because this is what we heard in our committee. So, yes, we had the same concerns, and we went through every nook and cranny here.
Okay.
Lev?
Chris, as you well know, I'm one of the residents who nagged you to death about our software and when can we change. And so I was
I was
delighted.
number two.
You were the second.
Yeah.
So I'm delighted to see this change, and in particular, I love the one-click sign up. You know, that's really going to be a nice feature for our residents, I think. And then the app is going to be very cool to have too. I'm glad that's a feature that we can count on as well. I'm wondering about hosting. You know, in the past, I've asked questions about hosting, you know, and what the benefits of hosting on the web versus, you know, web-based system versus hosting in our own servers.
Sure.
How is this going to work?
So this is a web-based, cloud-based server, so they're gonna host it. It'll come off of our servers. The great and absolute thing that we love as a staff is we can access the software from anywhere. So
Yeah, right.
currently I have to access the software from my desk. With this new software, I can access it from the pool deck. I can access it from home. Our staff can access it from home. So if anybody's on vacation, they can just log in, have to make any changes. So that is the other big perk that actually all of these softwares now do. But the fact that we can just do it right from our home if we need to quickly get on, send a roster, anything like that, which is what we don't have that function currently, being that it's on our server.
Good. I'm all for it. Good decision. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, one thing I neglected that we had a lot of discussion about, not only training will be provided by the vendor to employees, that the Parks and Rec Department, we will be providing training to our residents as well. We've yet to figure out exactly when or under what umbrella that will be done, but training for our residents was discussed. We believe that's very, very important going forward.
Great.
Awesome. All right, any questions from the public on this item? Seeing none, public comment is closed. What is the pleasure of the council?
I would motion to approve the recommendation from the Parks and Recreation Department to enter into a 3-year contract with Vermont Systems to purchase the recreation software RecTrack for an initial startup cost of $27,315 and then an annual cost of $16,440 with a 3% annual increase during that 3-year contract.
Is there support?
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you,
Thank
Chris,
you.
and to your team for the good work, and to the Parks and Harbor Committee for their diligent review of this project. Just looking at the items here, I'm sure it wasn't a 5-minute meeting by any stretch of the imagination. So thank you very much for your extra duty there. Item 7, the consent agenda. Does anybody want anything removed from the consent agenda? Individual consideration. Letter B.
Yes, please, I agree with Mr. Wood.
Letter B, okay. Do I have a motion to approve consent agenda items 7A and C?
So moved.
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 7B, consideration of the plan year 2025 Community Development Block Grant Resolution. Mr. Leeside, what can you tell us about that?
I'll let Derek chime in if he has it. Jeff, he handles the administration of our block grant program. But as I think council is aware, each year the Grosse Pointe Farms is allocated funds from the federal government under the Community Development Block Grant Program. This has gone on for years. It's amazing to see how the numbers have gone down for years too. I remember earlier in my career, it was always a 6-figure number that's been pared back over the years. And our allocation for fiscal year 25 is a total of 20,000. The other thing that is because this is a government program, it's very specific how those dollars are used. It has to have a benefit of low mod income. And so generally what you would do is you find a census tract within the community that qualifies low mod, and you try to put those dollars in that census tract. We don't have such a census tract in Grosse Pointe Farms to our advantage, but another category which is allowed are for senior services. So historically, we have provided those dollars to the Helm and to fund their programs as well as senior transportation through PATS. We had that discussion this year, knowing that additional dollars were coming in for the Helm through the senior village that was recently approved. However, just be a reminder, that millage will be levied with our summer taxes, so those dollars really will be made available at the very tail end of the year, of the calendar year. So the thought was that this allocation, in a sense, will kind of make them whole for the current fiscal year for 25 that we've done in the past.
Lev, questions?
That last point is what I wanted to just briefly discuss. I'm all for the helm and I understand that they probably budgeted for this money, you know, when they did their budgeting, and I suspect that, and that was prior to the millage vote. My initial concern, without your explanation, Shane, was that why are we giving them 20,000 when they just got all this money from the millage? However, you indicated that they're not going to be getting that money until the end of the year, so this is appropriate, I think. Let me just ask you this: so this time next year, I guess I would have, you know, an opposite feeling. I think that probably Helm doesn't deserve it because, frankly, they're getting all that money from the millage. Are there other? I mean, I'm sorry,
We'll look. I think we're going to look at whether there are other additional programs that we could put into. One thing, again, in the past, barrier-free access was something that could be used for. So if you put in a barrier-free ramp in the community somewhere, that might be an eligible expense. Unfortunately, it's very complicated because it's federal dollars, so then you have to follow the Davis Bacon, you have to EEOC. I mean, the amount of bureaucracy that goes on to the limited dollars makes it not the most efficient way to spend the dollars, but we would definitely explore other options going forward.
Okay.
I generally agree with the comments of Councilmember Wood and would ask the administration to definitely explore alternative use of the block grant funds, especially where, as here, the city of Grosse Pointe Farms is expected to contribute more than 362,000, and that number is probably going to go up, quite frankly, given the likelihood of taxable values in our good city increasing. I am totally a major supporter of the Helm, with my mother going there several times a week for their wonderful programs. However, I think we owe it to other programs to do our due diligence going forward with the highest contributing amount of any public entity in this area.
Understood.
Shane?
One other question too. Okay.
I'm assuming that the block grant applications from the other Grosse Pointes are also in part or in total are going to the Helm as well.
That's my understanding.
Yes.
I think that's
Yes,
right.
it is. Okay, so, yeah, so that's why it's especially important that we look at this at the very end. And it's also a matter that I will bring up at my first meeting too.
I wouldn't want to be applying that law.
We want video. All right. Anybody in the public have questions on item 7B? 8B. 8B, sorry, yes, thank you. Thanks for the correction, Neil. All right, no, it's 7B.
Why does it say he'd be here?
On the top there.
On the
yeah.
top.
Chuck Kennedy.
You were
did
right.
number- Chuck Kennedy did numbering.
Never questioned the mayor.
Vandy grads.
Yeah, Vandy
Louis, I'll make a motion.
Yes.
Yeah, my
Public
motion.
comment is closed. Do I have a motion?
Oh, sorry. Okay, my motion is to approve the community development block grant program funding for this year to be directed to the Helm, to the senior services, the Helm, and the transportation services, PAATS, in the total amount of $20,000.
Support, anybody? Support. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Reports, 8A, you have in front of you public safety and quarterly financial report for the 6 months. Sorry, that's what it says. I have to read it as you said it to me. There's 2 E's there. I will note, as I do occasionally, let's read from the blotter. Vehicle unlocked, items taken from it. 400 block of Shelfont, vehicle left unlocked. Edgemere, vehicle left unlocked. The winner of the month is 2 cars on Edgemere unlocked. And so I remind everybody again, lock your vehicles. So that's it from the police reports. Any other items, other business, Mr. Reside?
Just for information, it was noted on social media, and I'll mention it to this body. It was several months ago that we had representatives from Village Market at our meeting in more of a informational capacity to discuss their desire to utilize the second floor of Village Market for food service use, as well as looking at a reconfiguration of the parking and a joint project with the city and allocating existing roadway for parking in exchange for the creation of a movement of the roadway on McKinley to accommodate that. Neighbors were invited to that meeting. I think it was a productive meeting. There was more questions in a limited amount of time, I think that residents had. And with our encouragement, the Village Market is holding a meeting this month on Saturday, February 22nd, from 1 to 3 p.m. at Village Market. They've invited the neighbors within a 300-foot radius. Actually, further, they went down to the next block, and really just an opportunity to discuss their concepts, get input before they come back before City Council.
All right. So council members are free to attend if they want to. Any other business?
I have no other business.
Anybody on council have other business? Oh, yes.
At the meeting of the Parks and Harbor Committee, it was brought up by a couple members. We are getting a lot of questions from the community as to whether or not the pool is going to be open this season. Can we please put something out on the city's website or a blast that the pool is going to be open all year this year? We continue in our due diligence regarding a new pool and bathhouse, please.
Yes, we can. We actually, I think an update went to the pool committee this morning, and I think the intent has been all along that this was primarily going to be a 2026 project. There's always a chance that and I don't think it's likely if there's any closure, it would be at the end of the season after swim team, so forth. If there's an opportunity to get a head start on construction, but I think that's really unlikely. I think the construction will be next year, but we'll continue to monitor, let people know. But I can assure you, for the bulk of the season, the pool will be open.
Yes, the only other thing, just looking up from that conversation, was just making sure that people are aware when the pool is closed, we will work through alternatives. So we don't want people thinking that A, the pool is going to be closed this year, and B, that they're going to be stuck without access to any sort of pool. If something like, I don't think we have to make any pronouncements about what that's going to be, but that provisions will be made once the pool is closed for people to have access to sure.
Yeah, and we've already have had good conversations with the administration at Grosse Pointe South, for swim team, and with our neighboring communities.
Awesome. Anybody else on council with other business? Anybody in the public, other business? Oh, Andy got you, Catherine. Sorry, he had that left hand ready. Name and address, please.
AW306 Fisher. Just 2 quick questions. In the fourth section, right at the end, there was a mention of the FEMA grant, like somewhere around $1 million. What is that about, Shane? Can you explain what?
Yes, so as you're, I think, aware, we are doing the plan engineering for a major sewer improvement project. And that plan engineering is being funded through a grant from FEMA. It's a hazardous mitigation grant that the city was awarded for right about $3 million. Okay. And so that engineering has been ongoing. So that's a big part of that expense. We've done, in fact, we are actually going out for bid for one of the 3 phases of that project right now. And And so that preliminary engineering has been done. So of the $3 million, we've expended approximately $1.5 million, and we've been reimbursed $1.5 million. There's been some question, I caught by the Grosse Pointe News regarding the potential for not receiving the remainder of those dollars because of a pause on federal grants. We've been assured the federal government is still funding these projects. The issue now, though, is with the state. The state has notified us that although they're receiving the funds from the federal government, they're limited on how much they can distribute within the fiscal year. They had a cap on federal funding. So we've been told that although there's not a stoppage of the remaining portion, that we may not receive those funds until the beginning of next fiscal year, which would be in October.
So this is money we were always, we knew was coming in, so this is something new, this is just.
Yes.
Next, okay. I knew about the money, but I just didn't know how it's coming in. Also, there was a lot of 3 or 4 page of different investments the city has for the different funds. That's something, so we don't put money in the bank, we put it so we, as much as we can for our money, is that correct? That's why I had all this different.
I can let a finance director answer that, but.
And we try to invest as much of our funds based on our cash flow to try to.
That's what I thought. It's quite amazing, all these, when you look at, wow, look at all these different funds we have, you know, 3 or 4 pages with all the different investments and CDs and.
Right.
You know, so-
And a few years ago, we got very little investment return, so we've seen that number obviously increase with better rates of return.
Makes sense. Thank you so much. Nice due diligence.
John? Just on a similar note, dealing with FEMA, that in December this past year, President Biden signed the Federal Disaster Tax Relief Act that has significantly changed the ability of those who have suffered casualties, for instance, in basement flooding. The test used to be that the personal casualty losses had to exceed 10% of one's adjusted gross income, making it almost impossible to receive a tax break. If any residents have suffered losses in June 2021 or after, they should consult with their tax preparer because the standard has changed dramatically and they may be eligible for tax relief under federal returns.
Please consult with your own experts. And if you take this drug, no, I'm sorry.
All right, Catherine.
Catherine Sommermeyer, 234 Provencal. I need some help from council and I have a question. With all the conversations revolving around sanctuaries, cities, states, whatever, I was curious to see what happened in Michigan. And when I did a bit of research, I discovered that there's only one sanctuary city in the state, but there are interestingly 4, I believe, sanctuary counties, which I was completely unaware of. And further, Wayne County is one of the sanctuary counties, which I was very surprised at. And I don't really know what that means. So my first step after trying to do some research and not really getting any information, I did contact Chief Hutchins, but he really was not able to help me with any further clarification. So then I went to Border Patrol, location on Jefferson and Detroit, and talked to a Border Patrol officer who of course told me nothing because it was all confidential. I then did call as our Wayne County representative for District 1, Tim Colleen's office, but I've not heard anything back from that. So my question to you guys is, what does that mean for us as a citizen in Wayne County? And I understand you may be surprised at it just as I was, or maybe you know about it, but at some point, I would really appreciate an answer. Thank you.
Sure.
Can't speak for the Wayne County Sheriffs, but we'll look into it. We obviously deal with Homeland Security occasionally when they come into our jurisdiction and, you know, when appropriate, we may reach out to them. But nonetheless, I can't speak for Wayne County, but I'd love to hear what Tim, our commissioner, has to say to you when and if he gets back to you. So please let us know or let Shane know. I'd be curious to see what Tim has to say.
And we do cooperate with our federal authorities. We have a working relationship, and you know that we've done that in the past, and we've had to continue to work with our federal authorities.
Anybody else? All right, with no other comment, the meeting's adjourned. Have a great Valentine's Day, everybody. Don't forget about loved ones everywhere.